Brother Damian Frazier, 5108. Thank you for getting the support challenge started off. Hey, welcome to the ZoWhat morning show. Pardon the lateness of it all. Tech, engineers, it's all just what it is. Hey, I appreciate everybody for tapping in and showing up. Whoa. We got a lot to cover. I want to be able to shout out everybody. Welcome in. Please like, share, subscribe. Holla at your boy. Like, share, subscribe. I want to have a real conversation. What's up, Jay? Jimerson, we got good 206 in the building. People are slowly creeping in. You got to hit that like button. It's important that you hit the like button. We got a lot to cover in a short time to do it. Listen, month of February, all the orders got sent out. Even the ones who asked for a refund, you still got shipped out here. Let's see, what do we have? Spring Hill, Florida. Cincinnati, Ohio. Fort Washington, Maryland. Charlotte, North Carolina. Henderson, Nevada. Red Oak, Texas. Brooklyn, New York. Houston, Texas. Clearwater, Florida. Tampa, Florida. Seattle, Washington. Champaign, Illinois. Las Vegas. Newport News. You know what this is for? This is for the Lazarus pill. That's what nephew created. Or nephew and, of course, his uncle, the incomparable Dr. Russell Harrison. Speaking of Dr. Russell Harrison, we want to promote his brand, Russell Herbals. Russell Herbals. Get to Russell Herbals right now and support Dr. Russell. I'm going to keep saying it until he gets back to what I'm used to seeing. I used to go to Dr. Russell's crib, and his whole house just was like poison ivy. You remember the cartoon character from DC? He's like the male version of poison. Everything was plants and herbs, and you could just smell the herbs all over the crib. He's concocting and creating different blends. I want Dr. Russell to get back to that level. He was up in Altadena. Of course, he lost his crib in the fire. He lost his business, all of it. But I think he's back up and running, and we do plan on having him on the ZoWhat Morning Show very, very soon. We had him scheduled maybe a month ago, but we had to reschedule because my schedule has been in flux. So that's russellherbals.com. Please continue to support. Also, the Lazarus pill is on my website. I need everybody to go to my website and get your Lazarus pill. I'm going back to the post office tomorrow, right? And while you're at it, purchase a copy of my book, The Shrouded Lighthouse. I have several boxes of these left in my crib. I would say I have about 200 copies left. I would love for the ZoWhat family, to buy out the remaining copies of my book. I mean, consider this. A lot of people say, hey, where's the next one? Well, my books are self-published. So when you're a self-publisher, you finance your own product. There's no publishing company behind me, although we tried to do that, and that didn't work out. Not because I wasn't popular enough. It just didn't work out. But you guys want the next book? I'm writing it. I got an editing session right after this show. Listen, we got 200 copies, physical copies of The Shrouded Lighthouse remaining. I would love for my people who support me to go buy out the remaining 200 copies. Go to my website, MrZoWhat.com. You have no idea what type of financial boost you guys would lend to your brother. Now, I know the Lazarus pill is intoxicating. Speedy got a bottle and couldn't handle himself.
What does that mean?
He called me like, damn. That's all he said, damn. I said, what's going on? You in an accident? He was like, them damn pills, damn. So, yeah. You want the pills? Go to my website, MrZoWhat.com. But I'm encouraging you to get my book. And I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into this book. And it's a very powerful work. Anyone who's ever read The Shrouded Lighthouse, The Holographic Relationship, or The Relationship Dismount, know that, when you sit down and you read one of my books, you're going to learn something. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be expanded conceptually, spiritually, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, right? So I would love for you guys to support. Everybody hit the like button. By hitting the like button, you get us in the algorithm. Also, I want you guys to continue to support Total Package Energy. Total Package Energy, an energy drink company, a supplement company out of the Bay Area. Very important to continue to support them. They've been with us over 10 years. I want you guys to stay locked in. We picked up over 900 subscribers. No, maybe about close to 1,000, but 900 is the number right now. It fluctuates over the last month. But yeah, how you pick up 1,000 subscribers and you only got 70 people in here live? That should tell you something, right? People are not getting the notifications. So how do you get people to become aware? You got to hit that like button, get us in the algorithm, and let's keep going. All right. I suspect it's going to be around 300 or 400 people in here. Listen, I set a support goal for the super chat. Normally we do 30 super chats, and we ask for $5 normally. The super chat is the $ down at the bottom of the chat. Today, I set the goal for 50 super chats. And I'm going to say this. Give what you want. It could be $5, $10. We got one from Damian Frazier, 5108. He sent $9.99. So send what you want. But let's get to 50 support chats. Now, this goes collectively. You can do it here, the $ down at the bottom of the chat, or you can go directly to my Cash App, support my Cash App. My Cash App is $ZoWhatNetter. All right, let's get right to it. We got stuff to talk about. In terms... there's a damn war. Hold on. I see y'all jumping in. All right, there it is. Sometimes it takes a second. I see y'all jumping in. There we go. I see my folks showing up. Dwight Johnson, let me shout you out. Dwight Johnson, thank you. Lloyd Hinton. Oh, speaking of... Yeah, is that package here? Yeah, all right. Lloyd, thank you, brother, for the package. We appreciate you, man. All right, let's go to work. Hey, Velt24, let's go to work. We push it now. Let's go. I want to show something before we get started. Let me see. So you got the pictures of the Voice of Reason show, right? There's like little pics. You could put them up simultaneously, or you can put them up at different times. But put some of them up now. The reason why I'm doing that is because I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but my show on Tavis Smiley's KBLA Talk 1580 is out of control. I'm up leveling the discussion. Hey, pretty lady, we're going to play her stuff in a minute. Look, man. So I used to do the behind the scenes on YouTube. On my YouTube channel, the YouTube channel that you're on right now, I used to do the daily behind the scenes of the Voice of Reason on YouTube. But in an effort to boost KBLA's YouTube, and besides my YouTube was being shadow banned, I said, all right, I'm going to go to TikTok. But I told folks about TikTok. I said, TikTok is owned by America now. So if you're shadow banned on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you're going to be shadow banned over on TikTok eventually. A lot of people went to TikTok because TikTok had this freedom of movement. Like the algorithm was crazy. But once America realized that social media could turn regular people into celebrities and millionaires, they had to find a way to create a process of who can be selected to be wealthy. Just like that's how it is in this society when it comes to education or when it comes to stardom. They pick and choose who's going to be that next guy. So you can't have a wild card like social media come in and says, oh, Bob from down the corner has 10 million views and YouTube is paying whatever, $1,000 per 10,000 views. We can't turn that guy. Do you see what I'm saying? We can't change that guy's tax bracket. So again, my behind the scenes is now on my TikTok. And yes, TikTok is slow. We're building it. It's moving. It's growing a little bit. But I'm seeing some of the same trends on TikTok that I saw on YouTube, which prompted me to move to TikTok. I like TikTok. And if you have a TikTok, join me. Zoe Williams, Voice of Reason. I'm on TikTok for the behind the scenes of the Voice of Reason on KBLA Talk 1580. Do we have any more pictures? That's Wholeness Wednesdays I do with a spiritualist by the name of Precious. Man, when I tell you these topics are out of control, everybody hit the like button. Hit the like button. All right? All right. Let's get to it. We're at war. They don't want to say it's war. They're not calling it war. But for lack of a better word, it's war. Right? Are y'all paying attention to what's going on? Floating the idea of recontextualizing the 22nd Amendment so as to extend current President Donald Trump's. I mean, this has been talk. People have been talking about this. Extend the president's limited amount of terms. The reason why the 22nd Amendment was put in place, I think it was, who was it? Eisenhower? One of them went like 4 terms. And it was like, oh, okay, enough's enough, dog. Right? This is feeling very Eisenhower-ish. If it's Eisenhower, it might be somebody else. You guys fact check me on that. My memory is a little slow. But that was the reason why they had to come in. Too much influence for one man. Right? So you have to understand, 27 amendments. Right? 17 came in the first 100 years, I guess, of the country. It's very hard to get an amendment. 10 came right off the bat with the Declaration of Independence. Not the Declaration of Independence. It's FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Thank you. I just see it as white folk. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are right. It's FDR. It's just too much influence, right? Too much damn influence. And I think that's starting to happen again. You guys recall, I keep bringing this up. Uh, Last year, sometime during, I think it was 24, it was either 24 or 25. Um, we played that dude, Bashar, and Bashar said if the male wins, we're going to rush towards World War III. If the female wins, we're going to have first contact with extraterrestrials. Uh, Bashar's looking like he right on point. Coming, and our president has even said the possibility, although unlikely, but the possibility of attacks reaching, the contiguous continent of America, America, where we are, is real. We also saw a unification of some of the biggest members of that group that was known as BRICS, right? I saw that on the news. There was Putin. There was the Chinese president, right? And a few others. What are we concerned about? Let me be honest. I got to ask the question, are black people really concerned about war in Iran? Yeah? I know I am. My son plays in Turkey. I saw a video the other day. Turkey shot down a missile that came out of Iran. I said, oh, man. And kids act like he not a kid. He grown now, but they act like ain't nothing. And, oh, man, it's cool, Dad. Like, what? Come home, homie. Get up out of there. He was like, they don't even involve us. I said, you do know Iran, right? It actually touches Turkey. Like, it goes in, like, come on, man. I got a game Sunday. Like, what? Yeah, man. Like, these kids don't give a hell. Like, that ain't got nothing to do with us. My son told me, you do know Turkey really part of Europe. I said, okay. Okay, man. Like, it's a lot going on in the world. And I'm bringing this up because it's important. I asked Mike, I said, Mike, do black people care about the war? Do they care about what's happening in the world? And I would say intelligent black people do. Now, don't get offended. I'm not calling black people dumb like Gavin Newsom. I'm like, y'all, we're a lot alike. I got a 960 on the SAT. I'm not saying that. Because what has happened is black people have now villainized intellect as if it is a European construct. No. Black folk, and black is a flat term. I understand there's nuance, there's hills and valleys, peaks, nooks and crannies. I get it. We're going to get into that later. But I'm using the term black for lack of a better word. We created philosophy, psychology, spirituality, metaphysics, science, medicine, mathematics. We, melanated folk of the world. Lot going on. Did you see Donald Trump respond to them when they had their little meeting? I saw the video. He said, yes, I saw their meeting and I got the message. It was a message for me. I think they hoped that I was watching, and I was. Let me tell you something, man. Listen. Y'all remember when Minister Louis Farrakhan said, you are doing a deal with death itself. Put up that picture of the Holy Bible real quick. I'm trying to show you something. Everybody, please support. Please support the channel. Hit the $ down at the bottom. Boogie J Baby 122. Thank you for your support. I'm appreciating that. We're trying to get to 50 support. I want you to make that a little bit bigger. Select parts of the Bible. Let's teach today. I don't have a long time. Let's teach. Select parts of the Bible, of the Holy Bible, for the use of the Negro slaves, British West Indian Islands. This is a type of Bible that slave masters used to craft and cultivate their own Christian narrative that supported slavery. And the type of slavery that white folk, the colonists, were using. Chattel slavery. You are my property. I talked about it the other day on the Voice of Reason. We had a topic, quite interesting, right, where we talked about eye service, lip service, and curb service. Be good for ego's sake was the name of the topic, the customer service of performative relationships. And we used a verse from this Bible, Corinthians chapter 6, verse 5 through 8. And basically in that verse 8, or in those verses, and 9 is a special verse, but in those verses from 5 through 8, the slave or the master and the slave relationship, the master is being seen as equivalent to Christ. Talking to the slave, telling the slave, you got to treat the master in the same way that you treat Christ. Don't put that up yet, right? That you treat Christ, right? You uplift the master. By serving the master, you are treating the master in the same way that you treat Christ. The part that they left out is verse 9 says, nah, but the master has to treat the slave in the same way that he treats Christ. So they had select parts of the Bible that they wanted to use to perpetuate a narrative of service. The master was very hip. Slave master. He had a term called eye service, which means don't just look like you doing work. You better be doing some real damn work. They called it eye service. Y'all know what eye service is. We go into the nightclub with our whole bank account as a wardrobe on, as one outfit. We got the rent-a-car with the Lamborghini keychain, and we pick up a girl for the night. That's eye service. We look like we got it, but we ain't got it. That's eye service. And then lip service. Is the black community, has it been ravaged with game? Everybody thinks game is real, right? Oh, keep it real. I know the game. The game is to be sold, not told, right? The reverend is selling you the game. Everybody, do you understand what I'm saying? But game ain't real. Game is just lip service. I said it and I meant it. Game is manipulation. Game is survival tactics. I said it and I meant it, fam. We've been conditioned to think the one with the game is the realest. Why? Because we ain't got nothing and we're looking to survive. So teach me the game so I can come up. This is survival at its best. You're living in a time. King Munchies, thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on, y'all. Let's all push. It's 175 people in here. We only asked for 50 people to support. You can go to my Cash App, $ZoWhat Netter, and support. Go there right now. I see Lloyd Hinton did. Thank you, brother Lloyd. Lloyd, Philip, Brandon, KTB on the Cash App. I really need y'all to show up and show out on the Cash App. Please. I only got 200 copies of my Shrouded Lighthouse book left. Can y'all go ham OD and buy a book? If you buy it, I ship it out ASAP. I'll sign it for you, the whole 9 yards. We only have 200 copies of this book remaining. Please support, support, support. Just look at it as paying it forward. All right, to the next book, because the next book is being worked on as we speak. But are y'all listening to what I'm saying? I'm trying to show y'all something. Where's that sister, brother, that you pulled up a moment ago? Because there's a narrative that's been going on, and I'm trying to show you. They like to manipulate the narrative. The slave master, the colonizer. But remember, the colonizer started off as a race, but now it's an ideology that may have seeped into you and I. Listen to what the sister got to say.
Let me tell you about a black man who bought a slave plantation in North Carolina. Not to preserve it, not to protest it, to build a city on top of it. And the federal government cut him a check to do it. And if you've never heard his name, that is not an accident. His name was Floyd McKissick, World War II veteran, Morehouse man. Got denied from UNC School of Law because of his race. So Thurgood Marshall sued the school personally and got him through the door. By the mid-60s, he's running CORE, standing next to King, marching through Mississippi in the heat. But Floyd had already made up his mind about something. He looked at every march, every speech, every moment of resistance, and he felt it. The limits. Because at the end of the day, you can march to the steps of power, but a march doesn't pay rent. A march doesn't build a factory. A march doesn't give your people somewhere to go that's actually theirs. So Floyd put down the sign and picked up a blueprint. He finds 5,180 acres of land in Warren County, North Carolina, the third poorest county in the state. 2/3 black, dropout rate pushing 45%. Most people looked at that land and saw nothing. Floyd looked at it and saw a foundation. The plan was real. 50,000 residents, 24,000 jobs, factories, schools, a health clinic, free public transit, a man-made lake, streets named after Nat Turner, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass. This wasn't a neighborhood. It wasn't a development project. This was a declaration that black people could build something that didn't need anybody's permission to exist. And he called it Soul City. Now, here's where it gets complicated, though. Floyd needed federal money, and the only person positioned to give it to him was Nixon. Richard Nixon, Southern Strategy Nixon, the man whose drug war would hollow out black communities for the next 50 years. Floyd knew exactly who he was dealing with. And he endorsed him anyway. Showed up at the Republican National Convention, sat in Nixon's personal box at the Kennedy Center. His allies went quiet and some never forgave him. But this is absolutely one of those let him cook moments, because he was calculating. Nixon needed to look like he cared about black America, without actually changing anything, and a black rural city in North Carolina was perfect optics. Floyd needed the check and Nixon needed the image. Both men thought they were the ones doing the using. Only one of them controlled what happened next. Floyd walked away with $14 million from HUD, and they broke ground in November 1973. Built the water system, the health clinic, a steel and glass industrial complex, ready for manufacturing. Families packed their lives and drove hundreds of miles just to move in. It wasn't a vision anymore. Soul City was standing. Now this is where it gets even more complicated, diabolical, really. Jesse Helms wins a Senate seat in 1972. McKissick, trying to find common ground, writes him a congratulatory letter, and Helms writes back. He said one of my first acts will be to try to close you down. Then later they cross paths in the Capitol Rotunda. Helms walks up to McKissick and says straight to his face, "Floyd, I want you to know I'm going to kill Soul City." 2 separate moments, same message. Then in 1975, a newspaper runs an expose. Fraud, corruption, mismanagement. Congress launches a full audit. 9 months they go through Soul City's books. And they come back with nothing, cleared on every single charge. But here's the thing, and this is the part I really need you to hear. By the time that audit came back clear, it was already too late. The investors had walked. The businesses had pulled out.
Let me tell you
the
why
press
this
had
is
already
important.
written the obituary.
They're going to change the rules. They're going to move the goalposts. They're going to rewrite narratives. They're going to try to have more terms than they're supposed to have. They're going to try to do everything in their power to remain powerful. Why? Because they're not inherently powerful. They're not inherently powerful. They're going to come at us in every single way they can in order to maintain power in the world. Who moves the goalposts more than white male patriarchy? Who makes more excuses for their criminality than white male patriarchy? I'm just asking. Who lied to the world more than white male patriarchy? Listen to the profundity wrapped in that question. Who has lied more to the world? Whether it be popes, right? Philosophers. Go ahead.
The devil.
Okay, I'm not going to go into the doctrine of the Nation of Islam right this second. Come on. Let's just be honest. They keep moving. Put up the George Washington. The pictures of George Washington. Boom. That's George Washington as God. I talked to y'all about this before. I said the apotheosis. These are the actual photos. Look at George Washington. That's George Washington as God. So I told people, they've been lying this whole time. You don't need to know what words mean. Apotheosis. If you look it up in a dictionary, which doesn't teach you diction, it only gives you definitions of words. You look up apotheosis in a dictionary. Apotheosis, you know what it means? Glorification. But when you look up the etymological root of the word, it means to raise one to the level of God. God-raising ceremony. It is a ceremony that Masons practice. And we all know that George Washington was a Mason. See, I can't see myself as a criminal when I see God, when I have depicted God as a white man and I'm white. So I can't, me being a criminal is uncomfortable to my image, to my self-narrative. Right? I can see myself as God, but I can't see myself as a criminal. I see everything that I do as justified. I'm living in a contradiction, incongruence, cognitive dissonance. In one breath, out my mouth, I'm saying inalienable rights to all men. Right? The inalienable right to be free while I got slaves. While I'm raping black women. Why? Because in my head, they're not human. But they got arms, legs, eyes, mouths, nose, ears, and eyes like I have. But they look different than me. So the aesthetic or the, do you understand? The way they look is justification enough to say that they are less human than me. You got a ceremony that raises you to godhood. NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, says they have this sense of grandiosity. Well, you would think, right? To raise yourself to the level of God. Right? I understand the metaphysics of it all. I get it. Is there any more pictures of that, or are those the only two? This is what's going on in the world. Do you see the level of arrogance in Donald Trump in the way that he talks? I'm going to be central, right? I'm going to be central in the process of picking Iran's next leader. Is Iran sovereign? And I say, right? Our Congress is convening on, hey, did he break the law? Did he act? Should we extend his war powers, or should we reduce his war powers? Do you see what's happening right? It's happening right now.
Did they do anything to Bush?
They didn't do nothing to Bush.
Why not just go ahead and do it and suffer the consequences later?
Nah, because listen, you made God white. If God white, how can you be wrong, white man, in anything you do? Anything you decide to do, how can you be culpable for anything? MPD, narcissists do not take responsibility for anything they say or do. There's a justification for why everything happened to them. They're the ultimate victims. This is what's happening with this nationalistic version of Christianity, which is just racism and ethnocentrism poured into Christianity. That's no different than the slave Bible with the selective verses that programs your spiritual mind to stay, right, in servitude. We was talking about drapetomania in 2013. Y'all remember that? That was the father the father of what, though? Father of psychology. The father of psychiatry. That was the father back then. Y'all know who, look, I ain't gonna give you the name. Y'all look it up. Samuel, I'll be quiet. Did you know that in 2021, the APA, we got a lot of sisters that are clinicians. We got a lot of brothers that are clinicians. We got a lot of brothers that are in hell and high water with the student debt. We got a lot of people hell and high water with the student debt, right? That went to school and became psychologists. Well, did you know in October 29th, 2021, there was an apology letter. Apology to people of color for the APA's role in promoting, perpetuating, and failing to challenge racism. I'm painting a picture of a narcissistic culture here. White men can do whatever they want, whenever they want. We're uncomfortable seeing them in their villainous roles, right? But the people who tell us we're sane, the people who tell us we're sick or insane, wrote a letter, apology to people of color for APA's role in promoting, perpetuating, and failing to challenge racism, racial discrimination, and human hierarchy in the U.S. Resolution adopted by the APA Council of Representatives on October 29th, 2021. The American Psychological Association failed in its role leading the discipline of psychology, was complicit in contributing to systematic inequities, and hurt many through racism, racial discrimination, and denigration. The word denigrate means to darken. That's not its definition. That's its etymological root. You got niggas afraid to call themselves niggas because they don't know nigga mean God. And you done gave the white man permission to demonize the word nigga. Nig is in the word denigrate, to darken. You talking to black people, they say, well, go to the Spanish word. The Spanish, the Romantic languages, English, the Indo-European languages, they would never connect to the African origins of any language because it would disprove them as founders of anything. Nedger, N-G-R. Kemet, Nedger, N-G-R, Nedger, nigga, God. Nedger means God. Ethiopians, Kush, before it was Ethiopia. That's a European word. Well, not necessarily. Didn't I tell you they didn't create nothing? How is Ethiopia the same name for Zeus that it is for a black country in Africa? One of the only two countries in Africa. Remember, Africa is a continent and that name is relatively new. Africa. They got two countries on that continent that weren't colonized. That was Liberia, because the white folk got tired of the Africans that they brought over here for slavery and wanted to ship them back. And the other one was Ethiopia, which is known as Abyssinia, right, to the Arab, and known as Kush to the African. Are y'all listening? Do y'all hear what I'm saying? The APA Council, American Psychological Association, failed in its role to discipline, or it failed in its role leading the discipline of psychology. And it was complicit in contributing to systematic inequities and hurt many through racism, racial discrimination, and denigration of people of color, thereby falling short of its mission to benefit society and improve lives. The APA is profoundly sorry, accepts responsibility for, and owns the actions and inactions of the APA itself, the discipline of psychology. This is why the Scientologists come after black folk and send black folk to their museum on psychology, because psychology was born out of brutality. 1879 is when psychology shows up. And it was born out of philosophy, the love of wisdom. But because a lot of people don't understand that wisdom is connected to self-knowledge, self-worth, self-understanding, discovering God from within, the linear European mind couldn't wrap its mind around the intangible, the inarticulate. I can't put God into words. So then they reduced psychology to mental and physical behaviors. For what purpose? To control. Took the spirit right out of it. This is where drapetomania comes into existence. That was a part of psychology. A slave is insane if he wants to run away from the predictability, the safety, and the security of his servitude. He's insane if he wants to leave that. If he tries to run away, he suffers from drapetomania. They made a clinical, he has drapetomania, and the only way to be able to cure him of drapetomania is to beat him, is to torture him. Because clearly he's not in his right mind. He wants to run away. Is society narcissistic? Is society narcissistic? I'm painting a picture here. Is our culture narcissistic? I'm talking about American culture. Is it narcissistic? Narcissists are born out of neglect and abuse, right? Narcissists are born out of neglect and abuse, abject abuse, right? Those are two ways. Trauma. That's neglect and abuse. This is trauma. But do y'all see what I'm saying here? I can go into any country. I'm going to snatch you and your wife. I'm going to act smug in the face of other world powers. We were told that these world powers are something to be afraid of. Is he moving around the world like, fuck around and find out? And do we really care as black folk? See, I remember, I'm from a different generation. I'm Gen X. Something black on TV, my mama say, get in here. I don't care. I don't even know the name of the show. I don't know the name of the actors. They're black people on this show. Everybody come in here and sit down and watch this. I'm from that generation. This generation is under the illusion of inclusion. Oh, it ain't like that so much now. Look around. Because when it counts, it goes down. You got a man, BAFTA, sitting in the audience, got Tourette's. We know Tourette's is a real situation. We've seen some of our brothers suffer through Tourette's. Chris Jackson, Abdul Rauf. You remember him? He had Tourette's, right? So we understand it is a real issue. We get it. But you just gonna pop off with nigga? And I'm not saying he did it consciously. I'm not saying he did it consciously, but it was done. And so we take the onus, say, off the guy with Tourette's. Fine. We're gonna take it off you. We're gonna put it on BAFTA. You edited the LGBT stuff. People said disrespectful stuff there. You edited that. Right? But you didn't edit this. This went out live. Didn't take responsibility for it either, right? That's what I'm saying. See, when you say black men, black women feel unseen and unheard, like a child who lacks parental attunement, a parent who is not there to cater to the needs of the child. So these are ways that narcissism creeps in. Pay attentionism, right? Attention as currency, validation, supply. Guess what? He's moving around the world as if, hey, nothing matters, not even the Constitution. None of it matters. And what do narcissists do? In order to justify, they use something called Darvo. Zo, what in the entire hell is Darvo? Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. Deny. That's not what happened. That's not your history. Attack. You lying. You just tripping. Reverse the victim. You did it first. You the one who would. Reverse victim and offender. The accused denies wrongdoing. The accused attacks the person raising the issue. That was 150 years ago. Nobody alive today is involved in slavery in any kind of way. The hell? We're not responsible for that. You can't teach that in critical race theory. What are you talking about? You're going to hurt the hearts and souls of little young white kids. They don't need to know that. Why are you still talking about it? While at the same time, we got to remember Holocausts. We got to remember everybody else's, everybody else's tragedy that everybody else went through. Everybody else gets to memorialize their disrespect and abuse. But when we say it, when y'all got to get over that. And then you got black people saying it. Y'all got to stop. Now, the great Krishnamurti, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted in a sick society. Carl Jung talked about the social shadow. I'm going to take it one step further and start talking about something that I call social darvo within black people. You say, well, how does King Harris and 50 Cent and T.I. got... Listen, social darvo. We learned how to use the manipulation tactics, right, of deny and reverse victim order, right? We learned how to do all of that by just living here. But now we got to talk about the intracultural ethnocentrism. What is intracultural ethnocentrism? I'm going to give you a perfect example of it right now. Intra means inner. Cultural. Ethnocentrism. See, racism was born out of ethnocentrism for white folk. But ethnocentrism existed before white folk. I don't know if y'all understand what I'm talking about. Ethnocentrism and the sense of self of a particular ethnicity, right? Let me give you an example of intracultural ethnocentrism. Let's do a quick survey right now. Can somebody do a survey? Is it possible to do a survey in here? Hey, I'm having a hard time. YouTube is not keeping up with the amount of super chats. I don't know how many super chats we've gotten. On my end, it says 3. But I know we've gotten more than 3. I would like to do a survey, but y'all put up your favorite. All right. So we have Off the Wall, we have Thriller, and we have Bad. OTB. What's your favorite Michael Jackson album? And I would say the majority of the people that are in here, we got 200 people in here. Over 200 people in here. I would say the majority of the people in here are African Americans, black folk, ADOS, FBA, however however you label yourself. OTB. You pick your favorite. Just put the letter. If it's Off the Wall, O. If it's Bad, B. If it's Thriller, T. Look what's... Keep going. I see y'all. Come on, we doing an experiment. I ain't even mentioned Invincible, but I see you. I see you. Somebody said Thriller, following instructions. I see. Oh. Black people, the reason why many of us choose Off the Wall is because we feel like it's Michael's blackest album. As if Thriller wasn't black. As if Bad wasn't black. All of it was black. You had Quincy on all of it. All of it was black. And as a matter of fact, Off the Wall was the most dated of the 3 because it was still pieces of disco wrapped in it. But this is an example of intracultural ethnocentrism. Looking at his body of work through our ethnicity, we go, oh, that's the blackest of them. That's what I'm working. I like that one better. So ethnocentrism is a sense of self, but it also has a blind spot built into it to where when something steps outside of ethnic definitions, cognitive dissonance shows up. We're not really clear. Like, we don't have a reference point. And many of us didn't have a reference point for Thriller because it infused so many different genres. When you want to be starting something, you're listening to African music. Mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. Mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. Mama say, the fuck? But it also blends in so many different variants, it's hard for us to label it. You say, Pretty Young Thing, PYT, is that black music? Baby Be Mine, is it black music? Lady in My Life, you are the lady, my Lana. Is it black music? So we look at things through a black lens, a cultural lens. No. His best album is Off the Wall. But in fact, it's not. It's just not. This is why this is important. Social Darvo, intercultural ethnocentrism, and the architecture of black disunity. Before the fracture, y'all, there existed a village. Not as a mythological village, but as a real architecture, a structure. Anthropology demonstrates that human beings rarely survive as isolated individuals. Every society historically organized itself around some version of the village, a network of shared labor and shared meaning, kinship systems, regulated responsibility. Who is your mother? That's how you became king in Kemet. The matrilineal line. Who is your mama? Your mama is your pathway to the throne. Kinship systems regulated responsibilities. Elders interpreted memory. Spiritual traditions reinforce belonging. Collective survival required cooperation. In that kind of environment, identity did not operate as a private psychological brand. Identity functioned as the infrastructure of the people. The individual existed inside a system of obligations, spiritual, cultural, moral, social obligations. When historians like Brother Legend Elder John Henrik Clarke and scholars like Ivan van Sertima examined African civilizations before the colonial era, they represented or repeatedly emphasized that complex societies existed across the continent long before European intervention. Civilizations with advanced trade networks, philosophical traditions, architectural systems, and cosmological frameworks. Those civilizations did not lack diversity. They contained enormous cultural variation, different languages, different religions, different political structures. Yet, diversity did not automatically collapse into permanent internal hostility. Blood, Crip, Democrat, Republican, rich nigga, broke nigga, still nigga. Because a shared civilization still existed. I give you this example all the time. It was Credo Mutua who said, Egypt is our baby brother. Egypt is the youngest in the family. He said Egypt is in the south in the original African map. It's upside down. Egypt is south, closest to hell. The original name of Greece was Hellas. Hellas. Hell. The Hellenistic society. Greece is a Hellenistic culture who stole everything from Kemet. And he said Kemet was the baby. That was our little brother. He said every belief system in Africa is virtually the same. Neteru, Orisha, Anunnaki, Elohim. It's all this, all of it is ours. We've learned to use Darvo because we were raised by a toxic parent. A parent that was narcissistic itself. A parent that did not have a hold on its own internal individuation or integration process. It was thinking high philosophical levels or concepts in one breath, but that only served a small amount of people, white male landowners, but everybody else was furniture. Everybody else was lawn tools. Do you see? And you wonder why we're at the state that we're in today. And guess what? A lot of black men and women mimic the toxicity that has been passed down as a generational curse in order to survive. Darvo. Colonialism disrupted that center. And disruption did not occur only through physical domination. It occurred through psychological reprogramming. Psychologists, our brother, the elder, Dr. Amos Wilson, argued that the most devastating aspect of racial domination does not lie merely in economic exploitation or political exclusion. The deeper damage occurs when the oppressed population begins internalizing the interpretive framework of the oppressor. Let me come back. Nigga, how come you ain't voting? Your ancestors died. Your ancestors never fought for the vote like that. You can't give our problems to the ancestors. What we're going through, what we're facing. You can't say, oh, they fought for this moment. They didn't know about this moment. And they were abused. And they suffered from Stockholm syndrome. And any little bit of intermittent reinforcement they may have received during that time. Oh, we got the vote. You know what intermittent reinforcement is? That's how you stay addicted to the abuser. The abuser withholds, withdraws, doesn't give you what you need, and then all of a sudden give you a little something. Here you go, here's the vote. Then all of a sudden threatens you and say, well, the vote can be taken away. Are y'all listening? They didn't vote for this. They didn't fight for this. They didn't fight for this continued yo-yo effect. Take down all the history. Let's stop reporting. Take it all down. We don't want to show nothing. Has our community slowly begun to see itself through an externally imposed lens? Let me say it again. Has our community slowly begun to see itself through an externally imposed lens? If so, this creates a strange cognitive environment. Externally, the group remains racially unified. Internally, the group begins fracturing along psychological lines. This fracture becomes particularly visible in the African American experience, ADOS, FBA, whatever term you want to use, right? Because the historical timeline stretches across centuries of forced displacement, enslavement, segregation, economic restriction, and structural surveillance. And because you've been surveilled, you can't help but surveil your brother and sister. Suspicion is now your lifeline when it comes to other brothers and sisters. Each historical phase imposed new survival adaptations, and survival adaptations often remain active long after the original threat has changed form. Psychologist Dr. Joy DeGruy described this phenomenon through the framework of historical trauma adaptation. Communities subjected to prolonged systemic violence frequently develop behavioral strategies that help individuals navigate oppressive environments. Hypervigilance, defensiveness, and suspicion. This is our way of life when we're dealing with our own people. Am I lying? This is why T.I.'s whole family can diss 50. This is why 50 won't let up, and he gonna put a diss record out that is gonna be featured as the theme record for the TV show. See, we know how to rip each other to pieces because we've adapted survival mechanisms from an oppressor. Can 50 shit on Donald Trump the way he's shitting on T.I.? Can T.I. shit on Donald Trump the way he's shitting on 50? I want to see Young King put a t-shirt of Donald Trump's mama. And I'm not encouraging that for the young brother. What I'm saying is the level of disdain, disgrace, and disrespect we have for each other is a show of power that we can only show to each other. We dare not show it to the system that feeds us, right? Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Does any of this make sense? I'm not going to keep talking until y'all interact. There's 218 people in here. Talk back. Say something. Agree, disagree, whatever. Say something. Do we purchase? Listen to what I'm about to say. Do we purchase our own toxicity? Do we eat it? Is it a diet of ours? A preferred diet? A specialized diet? How many of us showed up to see this? To applaud it? I'm guilty too. I showed up for the Kendrick and Drake. I showed up. Intracultural ethnocentrism. I'm from New York. This is where hip hop was created, son. All that other shit, Bama and country, son, that's ethnocentrism. I told you guys before. anthropology is the most racist branch of science, but really all of them go together. Because science was originally used to justify white supremacy. So we need science as the scientific, this is the truth, this is real, this is fact side of the game to justify why we're better. That's what ethnocentrism means to a European. To white folk, or to melanated folk, it is our custom to feed our guests the moment they get here. That's what ethnocentrism was for melanated people all around the world. It is our custom, and I'm not saying this is the actual custom, but this is what I'm saying ethnocentrism manifested as this in our society. Or the famous line in Black Panther, we don't do that here. Do you see what I'm trying to? The European ethnocentrism meant use the science to justify their subjugation. Your popes, everybody was in on it. The church, the governments, everybody subjugate them, and even our own people. So as chattel slavery was the worst form of slavery ever seen on the planet Earth, it was slavery that dehumanized. You had bad elements of slavery in the Arab world, in the African world, but almost in the Greek and Roman world, but almost every form of slavery everywhere else you could work your way out of slavery and into government and into higher levels. Not this one. They had to go to war, the Civil War, in order to end it. Not this one. This person that I'm feeding, this baby that I'm feeding to an alligator is not a human. They're bait. This person whose back I'm sitting on is not a human. They're a stool. But you buy the bullshit. You pay for toxicity. You pay for toxicity. Right? That's our diet. Who beefing now? Who exposed who? Communities subjected to prolonged systemic violence frequently develop behavioral strategies that help individuals navigate oppressive environments, hypervigilance, defensiveness, suspicion, competitive status seeking inside constrained opportunity systems. Donald Trump in his first term called it opportunity zones. T.I. was a part of it. These behaviors do not appear randomly. They emerge as survival strategies. Did you know America and Europe are the most individualistic countries and societies on planet Earth? Everybody else is considered collective societies. Asians, Arabs, African, collective. Or how does that toxicity translate into our interaction with each other? Broke ass nigga, broke bitch. How many times you seen Clarissa checking motherfuckers for coming at her? You broke bitch. These nails cost whoop whoop. But survival strategies can become culturally normalized even after the context that produced them begins shifting. At this point, another concept becomes relevant: Darvo. The term originated with psychologist Jennifer Freyd to describe a manipulation tactic often observed in abusive dynamics: deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. The accused wrongdoing. The accused denies wrongdoing. The accused denies wrongdoing. The accused attacks the person raising the issue. Then the accused claims victimhood. In interpersonal abuse, this tactic confuses the victim and destabilizes accountability. Do you now see that in our people? Mike, do you see that in our people? Do we do that to each other?
Absolutely.
Let me get you. In interpersonal abuse, this attack confuses the victim and destabilizes accountability. But when we widen the lens to a cultural scale, something more complicated appears. Communities under constraint, man. Are y'all seeing? Before I go even further. Listen, we're trying to get to our goal. We're not near our goal. I asked for 50 people. We got 223 people in here. I asked for a third of the people to drop whatever on the Super Chat. You can go to Super Chat or my Cash App. I'm counting it all. So please support. The Super Chat is the $ down at the bottom of the channel. If we can get 50 people to support this content, I would be greatly appreciative. I'm also promoting the heck out of my book. I haven't promoted it a lot in a while, but I need y'all to support this book. We only have 200 copies remaining. Can we cash mob my book? Go to my website. Go to $ZoWhat Netter. That's dollar. No, that's my Cash App. $ZoWhat Netter. The website is Mr. ZoWhat. I'm asking that at least 50 people order the book today. We only have 200 copies left. Can I count on people who say they love the content, who say they love the information, to go to my website, MrZoWhat.com, and support? Also hit that Super Chat button and hit the Cash App button. Let me go back, check Cash App, and see. Yeah, we've been really slow on Cash App. So we got Sean, Casey, Donald, KTB, Brandon, Phillip, Lloyd. Please go ham and eggs on the damn Super Chat and Cash App. Yes, you can get a signed copy. Anybody who buys one gets a signed copy. All right? Please support. And hit the like button. I don't say that enough. Hit the like button. Let's continue. Communities under constant accusation sometimes develop defensive rhetorical reflexes. Can you see it in the content creators? Criticism triggers immediate resistance. Resistance transforms into counter accusation. And accountability becomes interpreted as betrayal. Lloyd, thank you, Lloyd. G Smooth, thank you. Yes, let's push. Let's get to that goal. Over time, the defensive pattern becomes culturally familiar. It becomes a learned conversational instinct. In some contexts, this reflex protects the community from unfair external narratives. But internally, the same reflex can prevent honest self-examination. Critique gets reframed as disloyalty. We don't see that in our community. As your friend, I'm coming to you and I'm saying, sister, brother, there's a better way. There's another angle. Do you understand? That gets viewed as disloyalty. And guess what? The only place I can take my anger and my disrespect out on is another black man or woman. I can't attack the system with the same ferocity that I attack my brother or my sister with, because that's where I don't shit where you eat, right? Right? You got more respect for an abusive parent than you do a supportive sibling. Dialogue becomes confrontation. And disagreement gets interpreted as attack. Political philosopher Dr. Tommy J. Curry has argued that many debates about black social conditions become distorted because the conversation often ignores the structural violence shaping those conditions. I don't want to talk to a politician who don't want to talk about what was done to the people he claims to represent. What up, D. Marie? I don't want to talk to a politician that says, no, we just got to focus on the politics of it. I'm going to do my best to get you. No, we got to talk. When structural context disappears, internal critique begins targeting individuals rather than systems. The conversation devolves into blame cycles. This dynamic intensifies when combined with another anthropological reality, ethnocentrism. East Coast hip-hoppers have always been somewhat more disrespectful of other cultures that delved into hip-hop. The South are Bamas, the West Coast goofies. I don't like the West Coast because that's an ethnocentric perspective of hip-hop. Black folk need to fix that. Anthropology fixed it with a concept called cultural relativism. If we go into another culture, we cannot look at that culture through the lens of our culture. We have to examine that culture through the lens of their culture so as not to disturb their natural flow. I got to see them as they see themselves. East Coast rappers didn't do that. Y'all niggas is Bama. The pure hip hop is over here. This is why J. Cole gets more credit than he actually deserves. From a template standpoint, he is the stereotypical dope MC from the East Coast. But from a feel, from a B.B. King, Lucille feel part of hip hop, he's not. No disrespect to him or his work, but do you understand what I'm saying? As an A&R, I'm listening differently. I'm listening for transcendence. I'm listening for something that's beyond believability. An actor can make me believe, but an actor is yet still acting. I'm looking for transcendence. East Coast rappers, if it doesn't feel like the culture that they were raised in and they can't see outside of the culture, and I'm not saying all of them, brothers like Q-Tip, brothers like Pastanus, they hear outside of their cultural lens. There's your cultural relativism. This is how we build unity. We need cultural relativism within our community. We steal from Oakland. There's an ethnocentric vibe in Oakland that is exclusively Oakland, that is exclusively town business. It's so different. It's different from those that are down the street. Vallejo, Richmond, it's different. Sacktown, it's different in Oakland. It's the town. Somewhere even closer, Pasadena is 17 miles from here. Pasadena in the 80s and 90s, 47, 50% black, different. And guess what? People in Compton didn't really know about people in Pasadena. They knew Pasadena was blood. It's like, oh, that's blood over there. They knew that through the jail. But they didn't know the rich culture. Right? Pasadena different than, that's ethnocentrism. Los Angeles, different than Atlanta, than Harlem, than Chicago, Detroit. We so caught up in where we from, we have forgotten that we are from everywhere. Every microculture of blackness in America tends to interpret the world through its own values and experiences. Ethnocentrism itself does not automatically produce hostility. In many cases, it simply produces loyalty. I'm loyal to the soil. So loyal to the soil that if a man who looked like me ain't from the soil, where you from? What set you from? The problem arises when ethnocentrism operates inside environments of scarcity and historical trauma. In those conditions, identity groups begin narrowing their boundaries. Within African American, ADOS, FBA experience, this phenomena sometimes appears geographically. Neighborhoods become cultural micro-tribes. Harlem, Chicago South Side, Oakland, Atlanta, Brooklyn. Each region develops its own codes of authenticity. Each community protects its local identity. Each group guards its narrative authority. Anthropologists sometimes describe this as segmented identity formation. This is why we can't come together. Does any of this make sense, Mike? We pick a side. As a historian of hip hop, I don't want to ever hear anybody say DMX over Tupac when DMX patterned himself after Tupac and the West Coast. DMX is the dog because of Snoop Dogg. He said that himself. But because of ethnocentrism, I fuck with where he from, his vibe, what he on. But who did he look up to? His brother Tupac. We pick from where we from. We pick from our micro tribe. Am I lying? Somebody answer, am I lying? Go back to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson does Off the Wall, saves the music industry, sells 20 million copies, gets snubbed by white people. Yeah, the Grammys, white. Gets snubbed, right? He says to himself and writes it out. Y'all see this, everybody on the law of attraction shit writes it out. I'm about to go in the studio and create the biggest, greatest everything. I'm going to change my image. I'm going to look different. I'm no longer going to be Little Michael. I'm going to do ... And I'm going to have the biggest selling album in the world. He goes back with a vengeance. He pissed because he felt slighted. This is that intermittent reinforcement shit. No. They literally did this. They started off. They gave him, here you go. Here's a Grammy. Best Black Pop Artist. Yeah, you sold more than everybody in the world this year. So what? You're the best black artist, Mike. 1979. Thank you for Off the Wall. That was dope. But there are other white artists that are more critical, artistic, and better than you. So here we go. Right? Mike says, nah, fuck that. I'm going in the studio. I'm going to make something that is undeniable. They cannot deny me on any of this. This is how intermittent reinforcement works. We do it in our relationships. Let me show up, give her a little something. Let me pay a little attention right now. Right? Let me show up, pay attention. Then after you do that, then you pull back again. And then she got to come running after you for some more attention. Or she does that to you. Intermittent reinforcement. Very toxic shit. This is how our government treats us as black folk. Mike comes out with Thriller, blows the hinges off the whole world When you hear Quincy Jones say, hey, man, an album like that you can't plan for. He told me that himself. God was in the room, Zoe. Yeah, we had an idea for songs, and yeah, we know what it's supposed to sound like. We know musically what it's supposed to be. Yeah, we're proficient in what we do. But we had no idea it was going to. Everybody in the world, everybody. Wait, nobody in the world left out. Intermittent, meaning it's inconsistent, Lloyd. Inconsistent reinforcement is not good. This is what some parents do to their kids. Intermittent reinforcement. Every now and again. Right? Lack of attunement is what psychologists call it. A parent that is attuned to your needs are not intermittently, okay, let me give you something, and then pull away, and are inconsistent. So Michael blows up, he said God's involved. Michael blows up, sells a whole crap ton of records, blow everything out the water. Most Grammys awarded in one night, 8. 5 years later, comes back with Bad. First album to have 5 #1 singles, blows up, sells 30 million. Initially 22 million. Mike is disappointed. He thought it was a failure because it didn't outsell Thriller. But it sold 30 million, the largest record in the world. Went crazy. Went to the Grammys, performed, did the iconic Man in the Mirror, The Way You Make Me Feel performance. Went home empty-handed. What I gave you, I take back. Hell, even Paula Abdul won over him that night. Paula goddamn Abdul, the Laker girl. Your brother lost his wife fucking with Paula Abdul. He was cheating with Paula Abdul. Your brother Jackie, allegedly. Jackie bring Paula Abdul to the victory tour. She becomes the damn choreographer for the group. Paula Abdul dancing in the video with a cartoon cat. And that video won the Grammy over Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. They knew what they was, nigga, you the biggest nigga in the world. And you buying up publishing, which is the real power move in music? Nah, nigga, we can't let you feel like you run the world. Fuck out of here. Intermittent reinforcement. I got one more thing before I get up out of here. I got one more point to cover before I get up out of here. All right? I got one more. What Woobsy says that video was cool. Was it better than Smooth Criminal? Is Smooth Criminal not one of Michael Jackson's most iconic videos, Mike?
I still see it in my head.
The lean, the choreography, what the? They said, Mike, get your uber talented the fuck ass out of here. This is a white system, and we don't have to acknowledge your greatness. All right. I'm going to do one last push. I'm asking people to support. I'm going to do one last push before I wrap this up with my final thought. One last push before I wrap this up with my final thought. All right? One last push. We got 2 book orders. All right. I said I got 200 left. We got 2 book orders.
1%.
Was the show only worth 2 book orders, Mike?
You know, I be positive. 2 big orders is better than none, and if we can
I love
get
that.
if we can get another 2 book orders before the end of the show,
How about that?
we'll
get 4.
double.
Hey, 4 out of 200. I'll
Yeah.
go with 4
Yeah,
over 0
exactly.
out of 200.
So can we get 2 more book orders while he makes his last summation?
This is my last little point. Did you know we as a people existed long before the continents of America, South America, Africa, or any other place were even named? And I don't mean like monkey versions, because people like to monkeys and y'all was monkeys. First off, if you understand anything about anthropology, having a common ancestor is not the same as coming from monkeys. But, you know, a lot of people get a little confused. A lot of people get a look. Having a common ancestor is not the same as coming from monkeys. It was the late, great Jesse Jackson who gave us the term African American. You remember that, Mike?
Not really.
It was Jesse Jackson who called us African Americans. That was Jesse.
All I can remember is I am somebody.
I am somebody. He was trying to give us identity back then because he understood we don't know who the hell we are. We don't know who we are. I see y'all trying to push through on the Cash App. I'm thankful. Let's keep going. I said Donald, Casey. I said these names before. Sean. We got 2 more, Christopher and Latarius. And we got Wayne. Push, push. If you guys want, you can support on the Cash App as well. You can send whatever you feel like this was worth. Here's my final thought. We have to reframe the concept from African memory to what I call Everywherian origins. Modern anthropology strongly supports what researchers call the out of Africa model. I had a brother call in on KBLA last week talking about a theory ain't real. Do you know how stringent a theory has to be in order to reach the level of theory status? First off, it has to be falsifiable, which means it has to be tested and being able to be proven to be wrong. It hasn't been proven to be wrong yet. That's part of what makes up a theory. You have to be able to test it over and over and over again in order, and different people have to test it. It has to be peer reviewed. It's not an opinion. A theory is not an opinion. Some dude tried to talk like he understood science. It's just a theory. Like it's just an opinion? A theory is higher than a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an educated guess with no scientific underpinnings. That's a hypothesis. I think this is that. A theory is not that. Modern anthropology strongly supports what researchers call the out of Africa model. This is a theory, which means there's a high level of scientific proof behind it. which proposes that anatomically modern humans evolved in Africa roughly 200 to 300,000 years ago before migrating outward and populating the rest of the globe. East Indians, y'all call yourselves brown Caucasians? You colonized by the minority who knew if I don't change the world's thinking, they could kill me because the world is black. I got to change their thinking. Humans proposes that anatomically modern humans evolved in Africa roughly 200 to 300,000 years ago before migrating outward and populating the rest of the world. But the name out of Africa reflects modern geography. Those early humans did not know the continent as Africa. The name itself emerged much later through Roman and later European cartography. So the deeper historical truth looks like this. Before there were continents, before there were racial categories, before there were national borders, there were simply human populations the human population expanding across the earth. From that perspective, the earliest humans could be understood not as belonging to a continent, but as belonging to the entire planet. The term Everywherian captures that philosophical shift. We from everywhere. We started everywhere. It reframes early humanity as planetary rather than territorial. We're talking about black disunity, ethnocentrism. I'm from New York. New York hip hop, East Coast hip hop is better than that. We're talking about Darvo, a narcissistic defense mechanism, right? That's born out of a toxic society. And now I'm introducing you to the concept of Everywherianism. Tribe versus tribe, hood versus hood, right? Neighborhood versus neighborhood. But if we rewind the timeline far enough, humanity and its identity once operated at a far broader scale. Not this little stuff we own. The idea of an Everywherian can serve as a philosophical counterbalance to intracultural ethnocentrism. Because of the hidden drivers of disunity inside of marginalized communities, it involves scarcity of identity. When resources shrinks, groups narrow their boundaries, so we attack each other. I'm telling you right now, this is probably the best time to unify, to work together, to solidify our bonds with each other. Now that the world is at odds with each other, the world is attacking each other, the world is coming for each other, I say right now is the best time to unify. We need not ideas and concepts that separate us, that break us down. I think now we need concepts that pull us together. Does this make any sense? I hope it does. Before we get up out of here, Mike, do a little commercial for what you do over here. People may not know. Go ahead, man. Promote everything. Television, radio, podcast, editing, sound. Talk to them a little bit, Mike.
Well, I've been a digital magician for over 25 years. I worked on visual effects, over a dozen feature films. So I'm pretty established in the digital game. Right now, though, to complement a theory, we live in a really polarized world.
Right.
And so everything is division. Think for yourself. Me, 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 me. Everything in front of us. Well, what's the opposite of that? Unity, working together as one. Now, here's my theory, and I've seen it with breathing, I've seen it with energy. When you have two different sides, there's an abundant amount of energy in these polarity opposites. So, for example, if everything's so stressed and everything's out of whack, if you remain calm, you absorb as the individual an enormous amount of energy. You know, we've seen that in sports when they always say that the moment is always what was it? The moment is not too big for that athlete.
For a particular athlete, the moment might be too big because they don't have that inner quiet. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. So when you have that moment for that individual, he takes that moment and he does incredible things. And you're like the dude that in the Super Bowl that picked the ball off his head. Right. And you're like, how did he hold on to that ball?
Right.
And we see these moments in sports all the time. My theory with sports is that they had to give these individuals money and power and ego and all this stuff so they didn't develop their superhero individual characteristics on their own.
Okay, Mike. I see you, Mike. Keep going.
So when we can come together in the world that wants to separate us and divide us to the minuscule of who we are. I don't know if that's a word.
Minuscule.
Yeah. Okay. When we live in that environment and we can come together, there's an abundant amount of energy that can come to those who can come together. I know this to be true. It's a theory that hasn't been proven wrong to me. So I want everybody to try it for themselves. Just try it with your homeboy, your wife, your inner family. Just try it individually amongst ourselves and see if there's power in that behavior. That's it.
That's rich. That's rich. Somebody in the chat while you was talking, man, they shouting you out, but they also said, has there ever been any level of unity amongst our people? Absolutely.
Before all this bullshit, everything they tell us is a lie. Don't believe this.
Yeah, man. That's one thing you've been taught.
Yeah.
Listen,
so
teaching is indoctrination. It's conditioning. And if you have a weak sense of self to begin with, now you're being programmed when you go in there. You have to understand that. Please. When resources shrink, groups narrow their boundaries. Identity becomes defensive. Neighborhood identity replaces shared identity. Ideological camps replace collective orientation. The result looks like fragmentation, but the Everywherian perspective expands the lens again. It reminds us that human populations have always been interconnected, Truemonger, through migration and exchange. African diasporic history itself reflects this pattern. Enslaved Africans carried cultural memory across the Atlantic Ocean. Caribbean cultures fused African, indigenous, and European influences. African American cultures developed through constant interaction between regions, religions, and philosophical traditions. The diaspora itself represents a form of Everywherian continuity. Y'all need to understand that. We like to steal from each other. Right? This is what survival has done to us. This is what survival has done to us. We'd rather steal from our brother and quote a white man who stole from our brother than quote our brother. Say, oh, this comes from the brother Tommy J. Curry. This comes from Ivan Van Sertima. This comes from Runoko Rashidi. This comes from Francis Cress Welsing. This comes from Dr. Joy DeGruy. We'd rather steal from each other and cite him. Socrates said, integrating the concept holographically. Instead of presenting Everywherian identity as a separate section, the idea can permeate the entire story for us. Here's an example. When discussing ethnocentrism, right? The contrast of tribal boundaries formation, right? With humanity's original migratory nature. We can put Everywherian there. Does that make sense? If human ancestry itself reflects planetary migration, what happens when communities become locked into hyper-localized identity battles, Bloods and Crips? We're an Everywherian. And we have the power to do some amazing things. Listen, I'm going to wrap it right there. Again, I encourage you guys to support the channel. Please hit my Cash App. Go to my Cash App or the Super Chat. The Super Chat is the little $ down at the bottom of the chat. Hold on. Somebody's asking a question. Unity in groups, yes, but as a whole, what do you think BRICS is? That's unity. Against who? The boogeyman. Who is the Kendrick Lamar of the world right now? America. Why is it so hard to see other people unifying and then we got to keep our specifications in place? This isn't an attack on the good brother Truemonger. This is actually praising Truemonger for actually speaking up and saying it. We're not saying dissolve your ethnicity, your cultural bylaws, right? Who you are ethnically, culturally. We're not saying do that. But we're saying see your family as your family. Just the same way you see your cousins. Yeah, your cousins might even have a different last name than you. But oftentimes cousins be our best friends. Do you understand what? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about unity. Unity in groups, yes, but as a whole, no. There can be unity. You have to conceptualize it. You have to teach it. We've been teaching in survival mode this whole damn time. Get your life together. By whose standards?
I can break something down in about 20 seconds. This picture that you're looking at right now is streaming. We got this camera that is recording Zo. Now, the ability that you're seeing it right now, it takes all those pixels, 1920 by 1080 over 2.1 million pixels, and it puts each one of those pixels on an individualized network because you can't send that bandwidth over the network because it's too big.
Come on, Mike.
So they individualize those in fragments and they send them out, and then on your computer, on your phone right now, it is disseminating all those 2.1 million pixels and it is bringing it back together. Do you see the contrast of Zo's white shirt with his black background? Do you see the black complaining about the white, or does it blend so perfectly?
Working in concert.
Exactly.
You don't get harmony without discordant notes. How about that? Listen, harmony is not we on the same page. Harmony is we on a different page, and we work well together. We complement.
That's the picture that you're looking at.
Come on, man. All right, y'all. Listen, this is it, and then we out of here. This is the final thing I'm going to say. I'm really urging you guys to go buy up the remaining copies of this book. I'm down to my last 200 copies. Please go to my website, Mr. ZoWhat, and purchase your Shrouded Lighthouse. I'll say this right now. Anybody who purchased a copy of the Shrouded Lighthouse, How to Discover the Silver Lining in Any Situation Shift, listen, I will sign it and leave you a personal note. So please, please, please support. We thank you for the support that we got today. Again, if you want to support after the show is over, you can go to my Cash App, $ZoWhatNetter. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. I'm Zo Williams. That's my brother Mike. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. And we'll holla. Deuces.